Welcome, and thank you for joining me for this in-depth look at the life and career of one of the most controversial yet critically acclaimed figures in modern music, Eminem. Over the next several minutes, we'll explore how he went from a troubled childhood marked by instability and hardship to becoming one of the best-selling rappers of all time. We'll also discuss the trials and triumphs that shaped his path, everything from battles with censorship and personal demons to his enduring influence on hip-hop culture. Let's dive in. Marshall Bruce Mathers III, known worldwide as Eminem, was born on October 17, 1972, in St. Joseph, Missouri. His parents, Marshall Bruce Mathers Jr. and Deborah Debbie Nelson, were in a band together, hoping music might provide them a better life. But this family story was fraught from the beginning. Eminem's father left the family when Eminem was just a baby, forcing Debbie to raise him mostly on her own. The two moved from place to place, rarely staying in one spot for long. This nomadic life was driven by financial hardship, as Debbie struggled to hold down steady jobs or a consistent income. Eminem would later write and rap about feeling like an outsider, never able to call a place home for very long. By the time Eminem was a young child, he and his mother had settled for a while in a predominantly black, working-class neighborhood on the east side of Detroit. Here, he often faced bullying. A small, skinny kid with bleached blonde hair, later in life, and a quiet demeanor, he stuck out in ways that invited harassment. One severe incident that he would later reference involved being attacked in a school bathroom and ending up hospitalized. Because of these experiences, he transferred schools multiple times, struggling academically and socially. Despite his difficulties, young Marshall discovered a world of creativity through reading comic books and listening to music. He was drawn to storytelling and soon found rap to be the perfect vessel for self-expression. Eminem's introduction to hip-hop came from his uncle Ronnie, who showed him tracks by artists like Ice-T, the Beastie Boys, and LL Cool J. Immediately, Eminem was captivated by the speed, rhyme schemes, and raw energy that defined rap. This new passion gave him something to focus on besides the turbulence at home. By age 14, he was already trying to write his own lyrics, scribbling lines in notebooks whenever he could. He would practice rapping in basements and local hangouts, honing his flow and battling with other aspiring rappers. Detroit's underground rap scene was competitive and sometimes hostile, but it provided him a crash course in performance and lyrical prowess. His mother, Debbie, had various conflicts and legal issues, and her relationship with Eminem was often rocky. They argued frequently, and the stress of financial insecurity added to the tension. Eminem cycled in and out of school, failing ninth grade several times. Eventually, he dropped out altogether. But despite his lack of a high school diploma, he clung fiercely to the idea of breaking into the music industry. Since formal education wasn't leading him anywhere, he invested his time in perfecting his lyrical ability, taking on stage names before finally settling on M and M, playing off his initials, which evolved into Eminem. In his late teens and early 20s, Eminem worked odd jobs to make ends meet, everything from dishwashing to short-order cooking. Yet his main passion remained rap. Detroit's hip-hop scene had open mic nights and underground competitions known as rap battles. These gatherings quickly became Eminem's training ground. Although a white rapper entering a predominantly black musical genre, he was determined to earn respect through skill. And skill he had, his natural affinity for wordplay, his rapid-fire delivery, and his intricate rhyme schemes stunned local audiences, even those initially skeptical of him. However, Eminem's personal life remained tumultuous. He met Kimberly Scott, known as Kim, when both were teenagers. Their on-and-off relationship was volatile from the start. They had a daughter, Haley Jade, in 1995. For Eminem, becoming a father at a young age added more pressure to succeed in rap, since providing for his family became a looming responsibility. Yet, he struggled to gain traction. His first album, Infinite, released in 1996, was a commercial flop. Critics and local DJs found it unremarkable, even derivative, lacking the rebellious edge that would later define him. In the face of rejection, Eminem grew depressed and even considered giving up music. But his anger and frustration instead fueled him to create a more extreme, raw persona: Slim Shady. The emergence of Slim Shady was a turning point. This alter ego allowed Eminem to rap about dark, violent, and outrageous themes, things he felt but couldn't express as Marshall Mathers. He released the Slim Shady EP in 1997, a raw, underground project that caught the attention of Dr. Dre, co-founder of Aftermath Entertainment and former member of the legendary rap group NWA. Dr. Dre was stunned by Eminem's lyrical style and wanted to work with him immediately. This was the break Eminem needed, though it was met with reluctance from some at Interscope and Aftermath, who worried the public wouldn't accept a white rapper in mainstream hip-hop. Yet Dr. Dre believed wholeheartedly in Eminem, and the two formed a creative partnership. In 1999, they released the Slim Shady LP, a major label debut filled with comedic horror, graphic language, and rebellious bravado. Tracks like My Name Is introduced mainstream listeners to Eminem's outrageous humor and wordplay. The album shot to number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart and won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album. Despite, or because of, its controversial content, it catapulted Eminem to fame. Critics praised his technical prowess while condemning the misogynistic and violent elements in his lyrics. Eminem's next album, the Marshall Mathers LP, arrived in 2000 and further solidified his status. It became the fastest-selling studio album by a solo artist in U.S. history at the time, largely driven by hits like The Real Slim Shady and Stan. Stan, a haunting track about an obsessive fan, demonstrated Eminem's storytelling abilities. The song was widely acclaimed and showcased a depth that many critics weren't expecting from someone often dismissed as a shock rapper. The album was a smash success commercially and critically, but it also stirred massive backlash. LGBTQ groups and women's advocacy organizations denounced certain lyrics as hateful and violent. Eminem defended his art as exaggerated, fictional, and satirical, yet the controversy placed him at the center of cultural debates about censorship, freedom of speech, and the social responsibilities of artists. Meanwhile, his personal life was as chaotic as his public persona. He married Kim in 1999, but their relationship was fraught with battles, emotional, legal, and sometimes physical. Lyrics in Eminem's songs frequently touched on domestic issues, sometimes describing harming Kim in disturbing fantasies. This contributed to further scrutiny by the media, who questioned the ethics of such explicit material. Hounded by tabloids, the couple divorced in 2001, remarried in 2006, and divorced again soon after. It was a pattern of high-intensity conflict interspersed with attempts at reconciliation. Continuing his meteoric rise, Eminem released The Eminem Show in 2002. This record tackled more politically charged subjects, including critiques of the U.S. government, the media, and the impact of fame. Tracks like Without Me remained playful, even comedic, while songs like Cleanin' Out My Closet offered searing indictments of his upbringing and relationship with his mother, Debbie. The album debuted at number 1 and won another Grammy for Best Rap Album. That same year, Eminem starred in 8 Mile, a semi-autobiographical film about a young, white rapper trying to break out of poverty and prove himself in Detroit's hip-hop community. Directed by Curtis Hanson, the film was well-received, especially Eminem's performance, which many found authentic and understated. The soundtrack's lead single, Lose Yourself, became an anthem of perseverance and self-determination, eventually winning an Academy Award for Best Original Song, making Eminem the first hip-hop artist ever to receive that honor. However, behind the professional accolades, Eminem struggled with substance abuse. The demands of touring, recording, and constant public scrutiny took their toll. Prescription drugs became his way of coping with stress, insomnia, and the psychological weight of fame. Over time, addiction took hold. After releasing Encore in 2004, a critical period began. The album, while selling well, received mixed reviews. It marked a creative low point for him, reflecting a personal unraveling. He found himself increasingly dependent on pills like Vicodin and Ambien, culminating in overdoses and hospitalizations. He also faced the murder of his close friend and D12 bandmate, Proof, in 2006, a tragic event that sent him deeper into despair. For a while, Eminem withdrew from public life, fueling speculation about his health and whether he would ever return to music. But in 2009, after going through rehab, he emerged sober with Relapse, an album that dove into his experiences with addiction. While some critics felt it relied too heavily on horrorcore shock tactics, it served as an announcement that Eminem was back. He followed it with Recovery in 2010, which aimed for a more introspective tone. Songs like Not Afraid and Love the Way You Lie tackled redemption, personal accountability, and the emotional fallout of destructive relationships. Recovery proved to be a huge success, winning a Grammy for Best Rap Album and reaffirming his place in the rap pantheon. Throughout the next decade, Eminem continued producing music that garnered both praise and controversy. Albums like the Marshall Mathers LP2, 2013, Revival, 2017, Kamikaze, 2018, and Music to Be Murdered By, 2020, each revealed different facets of his artistry. Some, like Kamikaze, were full of vitriol aimed at critics, younger rappers, and media outlets. Others experimented with new sounds or elaborated on political commentary. Though public reception varied, he consistently dominated sales, charts, and digital streaming platforms. His fast-flowing verses, razor-sharp wordplay, and willingness to stoke controversy kept him relevant in a genre often associated with youth and continuous reinvention. Over the years, Eminem's relationships with his mother and Kim have evolved somewhat, though their histories remain complicated. He has admitted regret over certain lyrics and life choices, emphasizing that his music often reflected raw pain and unresolved anger. As a father to Haley, he tried to provide more stability than he experienced, even as tabloids and the press tracked every detail of her upbringing. He has also taken a quieter philanthropic route, including donations to community organizations in Detroit, although he often keeps these efforts low profile. Eminem frequently acknowledges that, despite massive wealth, he remains haunted by memories of living in poverty and being ridiculed. He funnels that energy into his lyrics, which still revolve around themes of resilience, class struggle, and the complicated journey toward self-acceptance. Eminem's career has been punctuated by feuds and alliances. In addition to forging a close creative bond with Dr. Dre, he's collaborated with artists such as Rihanna, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and Ed Sheeran. These partnerships reflect his versatility and highlight his willingness to cross genre lines. On the flip side, he's often in headlines for high-profile beefs, whether with other rappers like Machine Gun Kelly or with public figures and politicians. His diss tracks and cameo appearances at major award shows keep him in the cultural conversation, demonstrating the enduring shock value he holds as an artist who emerged from the battle rap scene. Critics frequently discuss Eminem's lyrical content, which can include homophobic slurs, graphic violence, misogyny, and other offensive elements. Defenders argue that he uses these extremes to reflect dark satire or to portray an alter ego who channels his rage. Critics say that even with disclaimers, hateful language has real consequences in shaping public attitudes. Eminem, for his part, has sometimes apologized and removed certain lines from performances, as he did when collaborating with Elton John, an openly gay musician, during a memorable duet of Stan at the 2001 Grammy Awards. Still, the tension between artistry and offense remains part of his brand. From a commercial standpoint, Eminem's achievements speak for themselves. He sold hundreds of millions of records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists in history. He's earned numerous Grammy Awards, an Oscar, and MTV Video Music Awards, and he's been recognized in lists like Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Artists of All Time. Beyond sales and accolades, many credit him with bringing hip-hop to a broader, global audience, as suburban youths across America and internationally began consuming rap in record numbers after his rise to fame. His autobiographical tracks offered an empathetic window into poverty, domestic strife, and addiction, resonating with listeners who related to elements of his struggle. While he is often remembered for his shock factor, one of his greatest gifts remains the technical mastery of rap itself. His internal rhymes, multisyllabic flows, and ability to bend and twist words have influenced a generation of lyricists. He proved that hip-hop could be a storytelling medium every bit as nuanced and complex as poetry, layering in comedic timing, dramatic arcs, and character studies. As he moved into his 40s and beyond, Eminem has stepped away from the public eye more often, emerging mainly to release new music or special projects. He remains fiercely protective of his privacy. When asked about the next phase of his career, he sometimes jokes that he can't see himself continuing rap into old age, but his actions suggest otherwise. Each new album, despite polarizing reviews, still garners massive attention, and fans scrutinize every verse. In more recent years, Eminem has voiced stronger political opinions. In 2017, his cipher at the Bet Hip Hop Awards criticized then-President Donald Trump, sparking an internet firestorm. While Eminem has never shied from controversy, this explicit foray into political discourse highlighted his evolution from a largely apolitical shock rapper to someone willing to stand on a public platform and risk alienating segments of his fan base to speak out on social issues. He's also become more candid about the responsibilities that come with fame and parenthood. In various interviews, he's mentioned how sobriety has changed his outlook, enabling him to recognize the importance of mental health, personal relationships, and self-care. This shift is evident in some of his later lyrics, which delve into regret, introspection, and the challenges of sustaining any sense of normality when the world treats you like a spectacle. Despite controversies and personal setbacks, Eminem's ability to rebound has been a hallmark of his career. Every time he faces public outrage or personal crisis, he channels his anger and frustration into music, returning with an album that reignites cultural debate. Some see this as a marketing strategy. Others see it as a genuinely cathartic process for an artist who has always worn his trauma on his sleeve. In the broader context of hip-hop, Eminem stands as both a pioneer and a polarizing figure. The genre, which began as a voice for urban black youth, struggled to accept a white rapper in its ranks. Yet, through sheer lyrical skill and authenticity about his troubled upbringing, Eminem earned recognition within communities that initially saw him as an outsider. Over time, his success helped pave the way for a more diverse group of artists to explore rap's boundaries and incorporate different styles. He openly acknowledges the black artists who laid the foundation for rap, from Mel Mel to Tupac Shakur, and he has repeatedly expressed gratitude for Dr. Dre's mentorship, crediting him as the person who took a chance on him when others wouldn't. The story of Eminem's life thus far is full of complexities, from impoverished kid in Detroit to multi-platinum superstar, from comedic shock jock of rap to introspective elder statesman of the hip-hop world. He's fought legal battles, soared to pop culture dominance, nearly died from overdose, and staged multiple comebacks. Love him or hate him, it's hard to deny that his impact on music and culture is monumental. As he continues releasing music and occasionally stepping into the public arena, one can only guess what the next chapter holds. Whether it's more feuds, surprise album drops, or turning his attention to nurturing new talent, Eminem remains an artist in evolution, both shaped by and shaping the hip-hop landscape. Despite his controversies, or perhaps because of them, he's kept rap interesting for over 2 decades, pushing lyrical boundaries and challenging the notion of what hip-hop can be. Thank you for joining me in this detailed exploration of Eminem's life and career. His rise from struggle to global success epitomizes the tension between personal pain and creative expression. Even as he battles demons from his past, he channels those experiences into music that resonates with countless fans worldwide. It's a testament to the power of art. One person's raw, unfiltered story can become a mirror in which millions see their own hardships, hopes, and will to overcome. Ultimately, Eminem's legacy is still being written, one verse at a time, as he navigates the complicated worlds of fame, family, and personal growth.